Guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Tara, and today I'm going to be doing a very beginner friendly getting back to the basics video. My Aunt Pam, hi Pam, just recently became a subscriber of mine. She actually started a YouTube account to do that. And she has been curious about resin for a while. She's a very crafty person too, but she normally does like woodworking stuff. And she was wondering if I could show a video on like mixing resin. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be doing this little pot that I got from Temu the other day. It's a vase and it's very pretty. It's got fluted edges and some stripes around the base of it. I'm going to be using the Morandi pigment dyes. Is that what it's called? Morandi pigment dyes. I'm going to do some white around the rim, just a little bit. And the rest I'm going to do in this really nice neutral green tone. I just thought it was really, really pretty. So I am going to go grab some resin and we're going to get started. Be right back. Okay, so I've grabbed some Let's Resin epoxy. It is a 1-to-1. That means you mix equal parts of the A and the B. The A is the resin, and the B, oh, here. The A is the resin, and then it has a B, that is the hardener. So you're going to mix up equal parts. There are other resins that are 3-to-1s, that is 3 parts resin to 1 part hardener. And there's also a 2-to-1, which is 2 parts resin, 1 part hardener. There are deep pour resins that you need to be aware of. Like if you have a real big mold that's going to take lots of resin, and you want to do it all in one pour, you need to use a 2-to-1 deep pour resin because it cures slower and it doesn't get too hot. If you use the wrong resin, it could flash cure, which means it could start smoking. It would get hard really, really fast and get really, really hot in the mold, confuse the mold. I mean, I've even heard of people catching fire. So yeah, just be aware of how much resin you're pouring at one time and how deep it is. So this is a deep mold, but the middle is missing and it's thin down here. So a regular resin should be fine. All right, so these cups have all your measurements. You can do it by milliliters or ounces. I usually do it by ounces. And I'm not sure how much this mold takes, but I'm going to guess about 8 ounces. Got something in my eye. Ow. Okay. All right. So I always start with the B because the A is heavier. And it just has, it's where when you put the A on top of it, it just mixes better, basically. So you want to start and get eye level with your cup so you can see where the resin actually is. Okay, I'm going to stop it there. Oh, and by the way, resin is a chemical, obviously. So there are some safety measures you need to take when working with it. Always wear your gloves, for sure. You can wear a respirator because it gives off VOCs once the 2 parts are mixed together. Or you can like have your windows open to get airflow. I have an air purifier in my room. That's what I use. I cannot wear anything around my face. I would have just anxiety about that. I'm sorry. Some people feel some type of way about that, but I prefer not to. That's why I have the air purifier. So, and if you're using air purifier, it needs to be one of the carbon HEPA filter, uh, carbon and HEPA filter air purifiers that gets out the chemicals and dust and all that stuff. So, all right, so I got 4 ounces of B. I'm going to get 4 ounces of A. Okay, now you can either mix your resin by hand with just like a spatula or popsicle sticks or one of these types of spatulas, silicone. The wood, people say that it puts more bubbles in your resin because it's porous, but you can always coat your sticks with resin and just kind of wipe it off and let it cure like that, and then it'd be sealed, which I really like using the popsicle sticks, especially to scrape the cups, because I feel like the thin nature of it just helps get all the resin off of your cups. So I really like using those, and they're cheap. So yeah, but you can also use these little hand mixers. There's several different types, very cheap on, and then all the way up to the more expensive kinds. This one has an AI function, and you just turn it on, and then when you push AI, it will stir your resin for 4 minutes, which is recommended. Check your resin, but normally it's recommended 3 to 5. So it will mix your resin for you. It saves on your wrists and stuff. My wrists and hands are not in great shape, so that's what I use. Or I also have these little mixers like this for like larger amounts of resin. This is Vase resin. This one obviously was a Stoyo, and it has its own little silicone cup, easy to clean up, and you just turn this little dial and it spins it for you. But if you use these kinds of cups, you do need to make sure that after it's done, then you scrape the inside of your cup and the bottom and incorporate that resin into all together, because that does not scrape the sides, only gets the middle, and you will have uncured resin if you don't do that, and nobody wants that. So I am going to start mixing. And this has its own little stand as well, where you can just sit it up there and it would just hold it just like this. But I kind of like to use it by hand, because while it's spinning, I can spin around the cup and get the sides all at the same time, the sides and the bottom. So I'll just go up one way while it's, because it'll spin in 2 different directions. Every 30 seconds or so, it'll go in reverse, forward, reverse, forward. So while it's going that way, where it's going one way, I'll go up. When it starts turning the opposite direction, then I go down the cup and back up and then back down. Just so I know that for sure my resin is mixed properly. Let's see. Also, there are several different types of, well, not this type, but there are differences in molds as well. Like this one is like a shiny, glossy mold. And whatever your resin is touching while it's curing is what it will come out like. So since this is a glossy mold, it will come out glossy. This mold over here is matte, where it's not shiny, it's, you know, it's matte. And so the resin will also come out matte. If you have a glossy mold, but it has fingerprints on it, or smudges, or scratches, or something in it, your mold, your casting will come out like that as well. Whatever it's touching is what it's going to mimic. Let's see. There are different types of colorants for resin. These are pigment dyes. It's like basically a matte type color. It doesn't have any shine to it, right? And then you have, of course, mica powders. These are pearlescent, and they will have a like a shimmer to them. And then you can also do like different techniques, like the crackle or dragon scale, geode. It makes like these like striations and stuff in the resin when you put it in like to clear resin. Let's see. You got the chameleon powders that you can brush on your resin, and if you back it with black, it will like color shift, and you can get some pretty cool little effects with that as well. Then you have chrome powders. These are, you know, you can brush these in on your mold, or I like to mix them in the resin, and they are really nice like that. But these do not color shift. It's just one solid color. You can put glitter. You can put these little opal flakes. I have that kind. I also have like the dark colored ones. You can brush those on the mold or put them in your resin, whichever. Okay, I think that should be good. I didn't really get around the sides real good because I was talking. I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, see some of that. You can tell if your resin's not mixed properly. It'll have like striations in it where it kind of looks like oil and water mixed together. And that's how you know that your resin is not fully mixed. So, you can see a little bit more. Okay, I think that's good. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scrape off all this resin off my stick. Now, you don't have to do this. You can put it on the stand and let it drip onto the silicone mat and let it cure on there and then peel it off later, which is, I have done that before. And sometimes I forget to do this, and yeah, but I'd like to try to remember to scrape it all off as much as I can. And then I'll sit it over there to drip on the stand with the little tray. And then I'll end up wiping it off. And by the way, when I first little while that I was doing resin, all I did was watch some videos on how to preserve flowers, because I started resin when my husband died, and I was going to preserve some of the flowers from the resin, and I mean from the funeral. and some other little things in his memory, right? And that's all the person did was like show me how to do that. And I had no idea how to clean up resin. No idea. I used hot water, cold water. I used soap. It ruined my sink. So you clean up resin, clean up your cups, clean up your tools, your gloves if you need to while you're working with it, and you get your hands sticky, your tape, anything. Alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. I wish somebody would have told me that in any of the videos that I watched before. Okay, so I'm going to get a little cup to separate a little bit of white. I'm not going to need much, so I'm just going to get a little paper cup here. And I am, just for good measure, going to go around one more time, or a couple more times to stir that up. And I'm just going to pour a little bit in here just to go around and around. That's, how much did I just use? I used an ounce, and that should be fine. It might even be too much. I don't know. First time I'm using this. All right, so let me get a popsicle stick that I've already sealed. And I put a little ball bearing in all these bottles to shake up because it's got pigment that will separate at the bottom. And so before you use them, shake them up. And that's not all. That's just like, well, actually, yeah, you do want to shake them all, really, I guess. Yeah. But these especially, because they have that extra pigment in them. Now these, I'm just going to give it a big squirt. But when it comes to additives in your resin, they say you're not supposed to do more than 10% of whatever amount of resin you have in colorants. Stuff like pigment paste, pigment dyes, alcohol inks. I don't know about if it goes the same for like the dry, like the mica powders and stuff like that. I don't know that would affect it, but if you use too much pigment paste and alcohol inks and stuff, it could cause your resin not to cure as well. But I think you would have to put quite a bit for that to happen. I've never had that happen before, so 10% seems like quite a bit. I'm going to add some more. I do want it to be opaque. Or, I mean, it doesn't have to be completely opaque, I guess, but. And whenever you're adding your colorants, make sure to scrape your sides. For some reason, the pigment will go straight to the sides of your cup. So just as you're stirring, just make sure to scrape all your sides and the bottom. Really good, especially whenever you're using actually, well, not especially, because really I've seen a video yesterday, now that I think about it, where somebody used pigment paste and it didn't cure. I mean, it wasn't mixed in all the way, and so when she demolded it, she had pigment paste all over her mold and all over her, and then it had holes in her resin. So with pigment paste, that could happen. And with mica powders, if you don't mix them in really, really good, They could fall to the top of your piece, or where, well, you would see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be like a splatter on your piece whenever it came out of the mold. Okay, so I think that is good. I'm going to go with that. What else? Really? I don't know. Trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing. Oh, and when going back to like molds and stuff, for your mold care, you definitely want to store them where they're not like smushed and on top of each other and stuff like that, because if it stays like that for very long, it will warp the mold. And if you have like the glossy molds, or especially your like handmade molds, you don't want to touch the mold with like your bare hand, because it will put fingerprints on it and it can ruin your mold. Also, you don't want to use anything sharp on them because it will scratch them. Don't use paper towels to clean your molds, because believe it or not, paper towels are very, very scratchy and they will destroy your mold. I've done it. I've seen people many times cleaning their molds with paper towels, and I'm like, oh my God, please don't do that. Especially the handmade ones. I've seen so many people do that, cleaning their molds, like expensive handmade molds, with paper towels. I'm just like, I grimace, and every single time I see somebody do it, I'm like, no, please don't do that, because I have scratched molds like that before, and I mean, it ruins them. You know, you want to clean your molds with like tape. You can packing tape, painter's tape, whatever. You want to use tape to get any kind of dust out of them. I mean, if you absolutely have to, I guess you can use a soft baby wipe. Um, you can use I do use alcohol sometimes to clean them, but it does dry your molds out faster, and then you'll have to replace them more and more. But okay, so let's get to this pouring. Oh, well, you know what? I also want to say one more thing. So I usually use my vacuum chamber, and if you don't know, a vacuum chamber just pulls the air out of your air out of stuff, and so it takes the air bubbles out of your resin, and so you don't have the micro bubbles in there. If you don't have a vacuum chamber, because you know you're new, or you just can't afford one, or whatever, it will degas on its own. It might not get all of the bubbles out, but it will degas on its own, depending on the resin. Some resins are better about it than others. If you just like let it sit for 3 to 5 minutes, the bubbles will rise on their own and pop. I like to use the vacuum chamber because I don't like to have even the micro bubbles that stick to the molds. So yeah, that's why I do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So, but if you do, I cannot put this much in a cup in the vacuum chamber. Definitely, you have to split. You don't want your cup to be any more than halfway full for a vacuum chamber because it will overflow. So I'm going to split that into 2 different cups or a larger cup. You can just put a larger cup as long as it has room to rise up, foam up, and all that. Okay, so, all right, I'll be right back. All right, we're back. So, this is all debubbled. Looks like there's some dust in there, unless it's bubbles sitting on the top, or I scraped it out of the other cup I had. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. All right, so I am gonna start with the white. And I'm just gonna have this just around that little fluted edge at the top. So I'm gonna get down and look to see. Well, it's going all over the mold, isn't it? Okay, well, I'm gonna do my best anyway. And I'm gonna squeeze it down here, make sure that resin has gotten all in the rim without any bubbles, hopefully. And kind of rotate the mold to kind of spread that out. Okay. And keep checking the bottom. Now, of course, it's gonna blend a little bit once I pour the green in, but I see air bubbles. Probably because it needs more right there, really. It's taking more than I thought it would around this little rim here. That makes me wonder that I mixed up enough resin. Okay, so I can see right there. I don't know if you can see. Oh, hold on. Right there, there's a little bubble. So what you want to do is just kind of squeeze that little spot until you can see that air bubble come up and pop, and then you can let go and let it suck back down in there. Okay, so I think that is good. I do see another air bubble. Dang it. That was a little tiny one though. And he does not want to go away, does he? Sorry about that. I just hit the camera. Just a little tiny micro bubble. I can see it, but I can't get him. It's like a bubble in the resin. It's not from like a air bubble. I probably caused that bubble by doing that. Let me try to stick my little dotting tool in there. Try to scrape it out. This is rounded. It's not like pointy. Sharp, or it is pointy. It's not sharp. So it shouldn't scratch my mold there. Is that on the outside? Okay, yeah. All right. There's another one. I see. Oh, gosh. Sorry. When the bubbles float up, when the silicone is in the way, they can't escape. So you gotta kind of dig it out. All right. I'm not gonna keep messing with it. I'm gonna make you sit through that. Okay. Whatever it is how it's gonna be at this point. Okay. So now I'm just gonna pour the rest of this in there. Where's my scraper? Ah! I just made a mess again. Missed the other side of the mold. Let me get that. Okay. Okay. Wipe the side of my mold off. And I do this because I'm not trying not to get the inside, I'm just doing the outside and the rim of it. I do it because resin, when it comes to the top of the mold there, it will be held in place by, oh my god, now the word just escaped my brain. Oh my gosh. Well, I lost it. So, surface tension? Yeah, there we go. And, but if there's resin on the rim or on the outside, whenever it reaches, when your resin you're pouring reaches that spot, it will then grab a hold of the resin on the rim there and want to follow it over. And then you will have overflow. And you don't want that. You want it to stay up there or stay in there. You don't want it, you just don't want it to go over, because once it starts going over, it's gone. It's going to keep going and going and going, and you're going to be chasing it, and it's going to make for not such a pretty rim around that area. Resin won't, or it also, if you pour too much, it will break surface tension. So just get down to where you can see when it's just slightly domed. Now, I do see some bubbles where I scraped my cup and it incorporated bubbles. When it comes to torches, flames, all that, your best bet is like a long nose lighter like this, because it's not very hot, and if you just stay in the vicinity, like in the resin, don't touch your mold, because then it could fuse the resin to the mold and it'll ruin your mold. So, or you got this torch here. This is a very, very tiny, like you can't even see the flame, but it's still, it gets really, really hot. So you don't want to stay in one place. You don't want to get anywhere near your mold, but you can just kind of click like that and get those bubbles a lot easier like that than with that one. I have a hard time with those flames, and that flame right there, for some reason, it smokes and it gets black stuff on my resin, on my molds, all that. So that's why I got that one. I just got a small one. Anyway, so I'm filling up the rest. This is just about filled, just about domed, rather, is what I should say. Looks like my table might be unlevel a little bit again, because it seems like it's domed on one side more than the other. Of course, I don't know. All the lights and glare, I can't hardly tell, but anyway, that's fine, like it is. Yeah. All right. So I have a little bit of resin left, and we don't waste any resin whatsoever. So I'm going to find a mold I can dump some stuff into. Let's see. Do we want to do turtles again? It is green. Yeah, might as well. Got this little turtle mold. I wonder if I can move this out of the way without spilling. Misshapen my mold there. So I'm going to clean up this though. Oh, and when also, now that I use the alcohol, uh, when you're using alcohol with your resin, if you're, you can also, like I said, you can also use alcohol to pop the bubbles in your resin too. But if you do it when your resin is domed like that, it could break the surface tension and make it overflow. So just be careful if you do that. But also, when it comes to alcohol, you want to use the highest level of alcohol percentage that you can. The more water in it, like if you have 70% alcohol, I wouldn't use that. It has too much water in it, and water does not like resin, so don't use that. That right there is 91. I have used 99% before, but it's more expensive, and I mean, I haven't noticed any difference or any problems with using 91%. So I went back down to the 91%. So I'm going to just fill these up real quick. Now I need to clean that off before I fill it up. I don't want that resin to grab a hold of that right there. And Q-tips are a real good friend in the resin world for things like this. Okay. Now I know I'm going to have more, so I'm going to get out my little jewels extra. Oh, the things that makes the little jewels or whatever. And I guess I will be back for demold. I don't want, let's just take a little bit out of there. Oh, it's coming everywhere, isn't it? Just one spot. Come out at one spot. Please. Okay. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I'm going to get up my little Jules mode here. It's a mess. I know. Well, it's hard to clean up. Yeah, I just anyway, all right. I will be back. All right, we're back, and these are all cured. I decided not to go with the Jules little mold for the extras. It just had so much resin from the last time I used it all over it, and I just didn't feel like messing with cleaning all that up. I did for a little bit, but it wouldn't get very far, so I chose all these little ones. This is just a little heart mold I got from Hobby Lobby. I think it's for UV resin, really. These little hearts are really cute. These got like a rounded top to them, kind of like a little puffy heart. These ones, I put some chrome powder on the front. This was the little bit of extra white that I had. So that's cute. And these are itty bitty tiny things. I mean, they are tiny. I don't know what on earth. I mean, you can barely get the resin in there, actually. They're so little. And that one had chrome powder on it from the last time I used it. And that one's got a bubble in it, so I'll just probably toss those. Yeah. Yeah. And these ones are like flat hearts. Yeah. They don't have the puffy, it's just flat. Yeah. So that will go in the little embellishment tray or bowl or whatever, or for extras. I'll throw it in something. And this is the little bear mold. This has got a little bit of the green and the white mixed in it. So he's cute. Well, let's go with this one. These are the little turtles, of course. And they are super adorable. They're all the same, so. Those are. I love this little thing. Alright. And then the last little extra is my flower mold. Micro bubbles, of course, on this one. It was the last one I did, so it had all the where I've been scraping and scraping. Whoa, it's gonna rip. Yeah, it ripped a little bit, but it's alright. Ooh, that's pretty. That is pretty. I like that. Let's find something to do with him. It's pretty. Alright, now to this. That feels very thin. Oh. Gosh, that's a really thin mold. Hopefully I don't rip it. I'm trying to demold it. It's the best way to demold stuff like this is just flip it and then you can roll it. Now, hopefully, get up over that edge there. I'm trying to get it all the way around like that. Okay. Wow. It's hard to go from that skinny spot to over this big wide spot. Especially with my hands. Hold on, I'm gonna have to pull it up to me. There ain't no way I can do it under the camera. Okay, I think I got it started at least. Goodness. Okay. And then you just grab it and twist. There we go. And then put your mold back into the right way. Don't want your mold getting out of shape. So, all right, so, oh, this is so cute. I love this little mold. That turned out good. It blended really nice. Wow, I like that. Oh, that's sweet. It is really pretty. It's super shiny too. Look how pretty that is. How glossy. That is nice. I'd like to have a real big one of these to use for like flowers and stuff. I know this one, I mean, you could use it for like little flowers, but it's little. But I'd love to have a real big one. And of course, it would take tons of resin, but I love it because that is really pretty. And I love that color. I'm going to have to use that color on something else. I like that a lot. It's a real good spring green, you know. It's pretty. Now, the resin did shrink back a little bit. The resin shrinks whenever it cures. So it could use a little trim around the bottom. But, let's see. Well, surely won't be able to use the deburring tool to get around that, I'm sure. But you can just take your little craft knife here and just go around it and just get that edge off a little bit. That can be sharp. Or you could just put a piece of cork on the bottom of it if you want to put it on your table and you don't want it to scratch, which is not really sharp, but you could just put a piece of cork or something on it. Or just take some UV resin, scratch up the bottom of it, and then pour a little bit of the UV resin layer on there. And it would dome it once again. You won't have that edge at all. That's normally what I do for stuff like this. Well, not normally, I do it a lot, but sometimes I will do that. So, all right. Well, I guess that is it. I hope that that I helped you, learning how to do resin and different things about resin. And I'm sure if I missed anything, somebody could put it in the comments of anything I missed and let me know. So yeah, I think it's pretty. Let me know what you think, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.